Check one, check two. Let's see, we get the shares going out. I was thinking about playing this audio that my brother Jehudi, my piece of the brother Jehudi had created for me, but I don't want to. Last time I played something on YouTube, I messed up the channel, so I ain't gonna play it. But I'm gonna figure out a way to get it to y'all. It's a dope little clip he created for me. So I'm just getting the room shared now, family. I appreciate the 11 that we got in here, and I apologize. Last night, work came up, so I wasn't able to do episode 3 of the Black History Month challenge, but we're gonna get it rocking today. I'm gonna try to be as concise as possible because I understand it's a Saturday and I know we all got our lives going on, but I want to give you a little something, um, and hopefully everybody can get something from the stuff that I do show today. But judging by the title, you already know I'm gonna bring something up for us. So if you haven't yet, please like, share, and if you haven't, subscribe. Hit the bell so you'll be notified when we go live. Share the show on all your social media apparatus. We truly appreciate all the support that we've been getting. If you haven't, please check out the community page. I think we're going for 100 Black Americans historically. I mean, these are not someone you're gonna make find in your history, but these are individuals that sort of paved the way and left a cornerstone and left a blueprint for those in their communities to continue. That was beneficial in uplifting our people. So, Brother Ayasa, peace. Chauncey, Cop Move, peace. DB, the Street Sleeper, peace. Brother Zane, peace. All right, so we got this shared. Again, I'm gonna try to be concise as possible, but I want to sort of paint a picture here. If you can, y'all join me too. Y'all can just Google what the stuff that I'm suggesting. I'm gonna show it as well. Um, I want to speak about 1876. Though it's celebrated in this country originally as the Centennial, Exposition, to where um, people from different nations came to Philadelphia. And matter of fact, I'm gonna show it to you. We're just gonna do it that way. Let me get my screen share. Y'all know how we do. So if I can get it spelled right, Centennial. What is this? An exposition, I think. There you go. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. Y'all can. So this Centennial Exposition of 1876, the first official World's Fair to be held in the United States, and was held in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, May 10th to November 10th, 1876, to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. So now let's put 1876 in context. You have recently the 1875 Civil Rights Act has passed that sort of substantiates the previous 14th Amendment that promises citizenship and equal protection. Also, the Enforcement Acts of 1870 and 1871 that prevented people from going in disguise, terrorizing, intimidating, and abridging someone's ability to not only participate in suffrage, but be able to administer the elections. Public officials were being threatened and killed. So it also deals with that. And furthermore, it substantiates public accommodation. So hotels, rail, streetcars, basic things that, though free African Americans at this time were being sort of, they were messing with them in regards to these things. So supposedly we're celebrating the signing of the Declaration of Independence. The United States is sort of peace to King George and the oppressive, slaveristic laws that the kingdom was putting on the colonists, and we went to war for it. And speaking of that, I put Peter Salem on our community page. Please check him out. I believe brothers from Massachusetts, who participated in the Revolutionary War as a Black patriot. So, hold on, let me check the chat real quick. Okay, y'all good. Y'all see it? All right, peace. So to bring that back home, we already understand that the color conventions, which started in 1830, are happening. went all the way to 1899. Black people are coming together. Leadership is meeting. We don't have to go through that, that whole website again. I think we've exhausted it, and I see that it's been permeating through certain parts of YouTube and Clubhouse. So that's peace. So we understand that we're fighting for suffrage, equal protection, civil rights, as I explained with the 1875 Civil Rights Act. But what we don't really highlight in times is this idea, this political ideology, and how politically, not just socially, we attack the United States government in ways to improve our conditions. So since the Negro officially, quote unquote, has been freed to participate in suffrage via the 15th Amendment, for the majority, Black Americans have participated with or accepted partyship with the Republican Party. And a lot of those Reconstruction Amendments, 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, were fought in conjunction with the Republican Party. And though that may be some historical in itself, because I'm not sure if that many people realize that up until a couple years ago, there was a period of time when we became sort of disillusioned with the Republican Party and their promises and their backroom deals. And this year, 1876, is also important as we look at it in context because, let me pull it up now, so I'm talking about it. The Compromise of 1877. Was the Compromise of 1877. It was an unwritten deal informally arranged among United States congressmen that settled the intensely disputed 1876 presidential election. It resulted in the United States federal government pulling the last troops out of the southern United States and ending the Reconstruction era. Through the compromise, Republican Rutherford B. Hayes was awarded the presidency over Democrat Samuel J. Tilden, on the understanding that Hayes would remove the federal troops whose support was essential for the survival of Republican states governments of South Carolina, Florida, and Louisiana. So we got that. So another added point to put this conversation in context. So we have the Republican Party making backdoor deals, not including Black Americans who have been championing Republican causes, but now they strike a deal that essentially removes the only protection that Black people had in the South, which was the federal government, and their attempts to protect us. Those United States colored troops, the vestiges of these units, are now being disarmed, right? And you have Black codes now being re-implemented by these same former Confederate generals, captains, soldiers, who are now entering the halls of Congress again via these amnesty acts. Again, but just to put it in context. So while all this is happening, again, and let me sort of speak to something real quick. There's this idea floating around that Black people sort of have been hanging out with the Democratic Party so long, and we only vote for people, because they play saxophones and ridiculous things. I think the most intelligent voting bloc in this country is Black Americans. Historically we can demonstrate how we've utilized our votes, our community politics to uplift representative regardless of what political party they rest with. So, and I'm gonna show that here. So let's get to this Negro Declaration of Independence. Please, family, if you haven't yet, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell so you'll be notified when we go live. I appreciate the 10 we have in here. If you haven't yet, check us out on Clubhouse. Same room name, each one teach one. If there's anyone from the Clubhouse fam, I appreciate y'all for coming through. Again, let's get to this Negro Declaration of Independence. So I'm gonna put this link in the chat for y'all so y'all can have it. There you go. So what we have is the National Independent Political Union, Negro Declaration of Independence, Republican faithfulness, and corruptions exposed and scantily announced by colored men. This is Washington. I believe this was February 1876. Hopefully y'all can see that. They got to get the and the active joint a little bit better than this, in my opinion. Let me jump over the stream, y'all, see if y'all can see that. Okay, it don't look too bad. It don't look too bad. So I'm gonna read some of this for you. We're gonna highlight some of the things described in it and some of the people described in it. So we can sort of attack this idea and to sort of prove that not only have Black folks have been sort of leading the way in regards to political ideology and politics rather than party politics, and it sort of shows and proves here in this document. So Negro Declaration of Independence, Republican faithfulness and corruptions exposed and scathingly announced by colored men. They are tired of party yoke and will combine to reconcile the sections and maintain local self-government. Let's get into this. Oh, wait a minute. My bad, y'all. It says, at a largely attended meeting of colored citizens of different states held in the city of Washington on February 28, 1876, the following was unanimously adopted and on a motion, and was ordered that the document be printed in circular form for distribution throughout the United States. We colored men represent in nearly all the states and territories of the United States, believing with the fathers that the happiness of the people is the soul of the government, and taking into consideration the unhappy condition now existing, growing out of the prostration of business, the decrease of commerce, and the heavy taxes forced from an impoverished people to carry out the extravagancies of an administration, because infuriated by sore ambition and taking into consideration duplicity, want of faith, corruption, facilitating policy, and selfish motives of the Republican Party, which we have been allies since we became citizens, and for which we have sacrificed so much, do hereby denounce it as being the primary cause of all the wrongs committed against us. Hold on. Let me make sure we... The impeder of progress and the posterity of the country, because it has never ceased to use us as a cover for its base designs, usurpations, and encroachments upon the liberties of the people of the South, and therefore we sever all connections with that infamously and tyrannically administrative organization for the following reasons. Oh man, let's get into this. Hold on, don't do us like that. We still here. There you go. Hopefully y'all can still see. Let me jump back. All right, y'all can still see that. It said, for its palpable violation of the principles upon which it is founded, for its failure to fulfill its solemn promises made in national and state platforms, for the political serfdom in which it has kept our Southern brethren, whose impolitic banding together has perpetuated its supremacy to its determinant of a material posterity and tranquility of the states in which they live, for establishing a bank ostensibly for the benefit of the freedmen, but actually for the pecuniary advancement of novice bankrupts, favorites of its administration, and appointing men whose speculative ability and doubtful characters to control it, whom have not only mismanaged but stolen millions of our hard earnings, thereby reducing us to abject want, and for persistently refusing to pass any legislative measure for the relief of the ignorant, but confiding men and women who deposit their all into a pseudo-philanthropic, but ruinous spectacle only because of its Republican character. So the bank in which it's speaking about, of course, is the Freedmen's Bank. And we're going to share that too. We're going to share that. We're going to keep going. But we all understand what the Freedmen's Bank created following the Freedmen's Bureau Act of 1865. And I think what a lot of people don't speak to is, though it collapsed in 1874, they really don't acknowledge the fact that we did have the Panic of 1873. So a lot of people went out of business, but that's a whole nother room. I'll save that for next week. We'll do a room on the Freedmen's Bank and what happened to it. Let's continue. For ignoring intelligent colored men of undoubted integrity in the distribution of his patronage, and appointing either ignorant blacks, I ain't know they used blacks in the 1800s, but and appoint ignorant blacks who were used as administrative tools, and facious whites who were depleted in this treasury, and prostituted the officials for public preference. And even in states where the overwhelming numerical strength of blacks made Republican adjacency possible for banding ignorant color men against their white fellow citizens in order that greedy and unscrupulous comrades from the North may ride into office and leave them. Hold up. After amassing fortunes and attaining honor and fame, the enemies of those who would have otherwise befriended and protected them, for conniving with white men. Hold on. God dang it. What was that? For conniving with white men and medical for our best friends and relentless bent on engendering class hatred on party ends. So at this point in time, via things like the Compromise of 1877 and other measures, we see these promises. We're not really begging for things. It's more things that the government had promised to black people that via this Republican Party that we're situated with, we thought these things were going to be secured. So we see the failures of the Freedmen's Bureau, millions of dollars stolen. We see continuous. My bad, y'all. Hold on. 1 second, fam. Hold on. My bad, fam. My bad. We're going to continue. Are we still good? Can everybody hear me well? Can everybody see the screen? And what's really being described in this document when he's speaking about those coming from the North, he's speaking about what people, let me stop sharing. I want to make that point because I just got a message about that. I'm going to share my other tab real quick for y'all because we can talk about who these people from the North that they're talking about. Carpetbaggers. That in the chat for y'all. Who are these people from the North coming down and stealing money from freedmen? So in the history of the United States, carpetbagger is largely a historical term used by Southerners to describe opportunistic Northerners who came to the Southern states after the American Civil War, who were perceived to be exploiting local populace for their own financial, political, and or social gain. The term broadly included both individuals who sought to promote Republican politics, that included the right of African Americans to vote and hold office, and individuals who saw business and political opportunities because of the chaotic state of local economies following the war. In practice, the term carpetbagger was applied to any Northerner who was present in the South during the Reconstruction era. The term is closely associated with scallywag, a similarly pejorative word used to describe native white Southerners who supported the Republican-led Reconstruction. That's just for clarity. Hopefully that answered the question that I got, but let me get my other screen share. Oh yeah, we on page 3. I'm gonna jump a little bit in the document because the charges he given is almost like reading we charge genocide. For these and other reasons too numerous for enumeration, we feel justified in severing all connection with this profligate party, teeming with the most loathsome corruption and deeming the time auspicious with past differences should be buried, and reconciliation and good feeling between the races pervade the land, whereby pledge our heart, support, zeal, and devotion to all these whose fidelity to the Constitution, as it says, will prompt them faithfully to adhere to the Constitution as it is. And we ask nothing but full and equal justice before the law, protection of our lives and property against lawless and mob violence, and equitable recognition in the several departments of the government based upon our intelligence and integrity. So this sounds like the same thing A. Philip Randolph was asking for in 1941, but that sort of describes in another way systematic oppression. But let's continue to the next page. We are tired of our self-imposed party yoke and its injustice to us and its flagrant violations of the Constitution in order to trample out local self-government and insult our brave and well-disposed fellow citizens of the South, and earnestly believe that a division of the solid phalanx of colored voters will act beneficially upon the two great parties, and therefore we propose to stand by principles and will support only those men who will do the most for us. Not this idea we're going to just be with y'all just because we're going to be with y'all, but it must be something beneficial to this body of color voters if you want that vote. This policy, we believe, will ensure to the lasting tranquility of the country and a speedy return to good feeling between our late master and now free citizen will follow. We invoke the blessing of the, oh man, sorry, bugging. We invoke the blessing of the Almighty God upon his carefully considered departure and invite the hearty and cordial cooperation of the colored people of the whole country who, like us, have cause for a well-grounded complaint to organize to end that their ballots may be subserved to the peace of the country, the fraternization of all the people, and the posterity and unification of the sections of our indivisible republic. So the individuals listed here are said representatives. Hold on, let me check the chat. Oh shoot, peace to VC. Brother Ali, peace. SSTDL11, peace to you. It must be the God, peace. One community, peace, one community. So I got one of the signers of this joker here is, Reverend Garland White, and since it is Black History Month, and I got him pulled up, I might as well show who he is. So let's pull up. Who's Garland White? Because I'm not mistaken, he from the town. Garland H. White was a preacher and politician who served as a chaplain for the 28th United States Colored Infantry. He was also one of the few Black officers in the U.S. Civil War. Before the war, he was owned by Congressman and future Confederate cabinet member and General Robert Toombs. He escaped slavery to Ontario just before the war started and became a minister in the African Methodist Episcopal Church. He returned to the United States to preach and to recruit Black soldiers. He joined the 28th USCT, which helped recruit and took part in the Battle of the Crater and the capture of Richmond. After the war, he moved to North Carolina, where he continued preaching and was one of the few Black politicians. And speaking about him being one of the few Black politicians, Congressman Hyman, another Black politician in North Carolina at this period of time, actually defeated him in the election for that House seat that Representative Hyman took. So that's another piece of North Carolina history. Let me get back to this document, man. There we go. My zone was all crazy. Yeah, man. So really, I just wanted to speak to, again, I wanted to show, of course, this Negro Declaration of Independence, a Declaration of Independence that was intended to acknowledge how colored voters across the country had lost confidence in the Republican Party. And they felt since, as they mentioned, since they've been citizens, we've been, the reason why Republican politics have been soaring. It is demonstrable how Republican victories throughout the South during the presidential Reconstruction and certainly during military Reconstruction after '67, how these new Black voters to the party began to secure wins, and how these secure wins wasn't securing the type of protections and public policy that Black people were fighting for, that they voted them in office for. You shouldn't really need a Civil Rights Act 1875 when the 14th Amendment promised equal protection of the laws. You shouldn't need Black codes if you have equal protection of the law. So it's an intelligent way to navigate politics, understanding that this party is no longer in your favor and it's time to move on. And during this time, you do have more than just this one national Black independent union. You have color conventions, auxiliary societies all over the nation who are engaged in the local politics. So it's really a grassroots effort, not something that's coming from some office and in some capital somewhere. So let me see, let me check my time, see where I'm at. All right, bet, right where I wanted to be. Hopefully y'all got something from that. Again, I wanted to be concise today. I really don't have the time to go in like I wanted to last night, but I at least want to provide and sort of caveat the brother Rob Bourne's presentation about Black politics and our attempts to and where we can't create our own political parties to at least engage in organization, some form of collective consciousness politically that will allow us to decide our candidates appropriately. And I think even before 1876, the 20th century, we've been having these conversations. But I just figured like when I ran across this was just I've never seen a group of Black people denounce a party this publicly in the nation's capital, several months before the Centennial. But I do think it's important that they did this 100 years following the signing of the Declaration, and how ironic it is that a people who sort of participated in this revolution their posterity is still fighting for basic civil, liberty. So we can understand just via these documents here that this fight has been continuous since we've freed ourselves and robbed ourselves. We've been creating communities, creating institutions, creating political organizations whose purposes was the upliftment of our people. So that's the important part to me. So hopefully, did everybody get a chance to get a copy of that Negro Declaration of Independence? I want to make sure we got that. And I didn't get anybody who wanted to present today, though I'm going to put the link in the chat just in case. Somebody backpack may be in the car. Never know. Link is in the chat if y'all want it. I don't remember if I put the declaration in there, but I'm going to throw it in there again just in case. Get the community page pull up, because this is like, I gotta take y'all that, man. Y'all gotta see this. No, don't get on no weird stuff now. Y'all see? All right, everybody say, hey, yo, if you haven't, go to the community page. I'm gonna put the community page in the chat too. Everybody ask questions and send messages about new people, seeing people. I live in so and so. Is there anybody out here? I can guarantee you can go to this community page and you're gonna be able to find, individuals. Oh, didn't mean that. You're gonna find individuals that are from your area, or you may not have seen before in regards to Black history. I don't know if my screen going crazy, but hopefully y'all can see. But check us out. Check out the Brother True Historians previous videos. Check out Brother Rob Bournes. Again, if you haven't yet, check us out on Clubhouse. Same name, Each One Teach One. Check us out on our Facebook groups, NBK Social Group, New Black Knowledge YouTube group, Each One Teach One YouTube group. And get some of this information, man. I don't know if you've seen any of this stuff anywhere else. I haven't seen a whole lot of Black History Month commemoration or acknowledgement, but you already know how we do on this side. So yeah, check some of these folks out. Shouts out to Floyd McKissick, Soul City. Check out all these sisters we got up here. You know what I'm saying? The Philadelphia Picasso. My man Richard Kane right here. And when I spoke about that Civil Rights Act, the debate on the floor of Congress, I'm gonna show y'all that, man. Hold on. I'm gonna show y'all that. That'll be the last thing I'm gonna show, then I'm gonna get up out of here, man. For all my people from South Carolina, they know who Richard Kane is. Richard Kane represented South Carolina in the House of Representatives, and he was influential to this fight on civil rights. Hold on, yo. I'm gonna show y'all this. We're gonna do this one together. I'm gonna see how. I'm gonna put this link in the chat for you too. I want to go to what Richard King said. No, CK, you didn't miss anybody's presentation. I didn't get any for the day, but real quick, the Civil Rights Act, sometimes known as the Enforcement Act, was a United States federal law enacted during Reconstruction era in response to civil rights violations against African Americans by the 43rd Congress. So let's get, and luckily for those who are anti-wiki, wiki, is helping a lot of you because it gives you, it'll send you directly to the primary. So I didn't need no credit card, no nothing, what I just did. Boom, it's gonna take you to the site. It's gonna take you to the statues. You click the link and it's gonna bring up the joint for you. That didn't require any credit card information. Let's scroll here. Hopefully everybody can see. We're going to take you to the act first, and I'm going to take you to what Richard King said. So an act to protect all citizens and their civil and legal rights, whereas it was essential to just government, we recognize equally to all men before the law and hold that it is the duty of the government in its dealings that the people meet to equal and exact justice at all and whatsoever nativity, color, race, persuasion, religious or political, and it being appropriate object of the legislation to enact general fundamental laws and practices thereof. So this is following the Civil Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act 1866. This is following the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendments. This is following, you dig what I'm saying, a civil war, Enforcement Acts of 1870 and 71. And you still see a continuous fight of on a local level, Black folks are petitioning their governments for equal liberties. And it continues on and describes, and I'll put this link in the chat too, just in case, because y'all got the right joint. Pull back up for you. Now we're going to go to what Richard King said during that debate. And I'm going to put this link in the chat for you as well. Warning on these on the virtual library pages. If you just try to save the bookmark or you trying to save a particular page on this site, it's going to error out on you. You're going to have to go all the way back and bookmark from the first page of this particular volume. And the site originally give you all the volumes, but remember, if you try to bookmark the page, you're gonna get caught slipping if you try to go to it later on, because it's gonna say the link is dead. So just a reminder. I'm gonna zoom a little bit out of this. So we can see here at this point of the Congress, they're about to debate civil rights, but I'm not gonna read Robbins and none of them other guys. We're gonna get straight to what Richard King said. I think it's on page like 906. There we go. So we're gonna see what Black folks were saying about Black folks. Can y'all see that good? Is that too blurry? Let me know, because I want everybody to get that. If it's too blurry, let me know and I'll change it up. And this is where Richard King begins to speak. He says, Mr. Speaker, I have supposed this cruel war was over, that we had entered upon an era of peace, prosperity, and future success as a nation. It has supposed that after the sad experience of more than 5 years, after we had sought to heal the wounds of the war, has made after we had pressed amnesty bills, and that as we thought had entered upon a smooth, quiet road to future prosperity, we had met upon a common level in the halls of Congress, and that no longer will we brawl over the past, that we would strike out a new line of policy, a new nation course, that does succeed and lay broad through deep foundations of the future welfare of this country, that every man of every race, of every section of this country might strike hands and go forward in national progress. All right, you good? We can see. The God that's came in the building. Peace, Rob Born.
Peace. Good stuff. Good stuff there.
Where we at? I regret, however, that it again becomes my lot to answer a member from the neighboring state, North Carolina. It was my misfortune a few Saturdays ago to have to answer a gentleman from the same state in relation to structures upon my race. I regret that it becomes my duty again, simply in defense of what I regard as a right, in defense of the race in which I belong, to meet the arguments of another gentleman from North Carolina, to show, if I can, their fallacy and to prove that they are not correct. Hold up. He said the gentleman starts out by saying that if we pass the pending civil rights bill, it may indeed seem pleasant to the northern people, but in this section and to the South, it would be death. I do not think he is correct, for the reason that they have in the South suffered a great and many and more terrible things than civil rights and still live. I think if so harmless a measure as the Civil Rights Bill guaranteeing every man of the African race equal rights with other men will bring death to the South, then certainly the noble march of Sherman to the sea will have fixed them long ago to laughter. So you see what he says African race here? He didn't say Indians, aliens, turtle islands, none of that. So I just want to, that's for someone else, but I just wanted to read that he didn't speak about no one else. He's talking to people specifically, every man of the African race. I hope you see it. So, and there's others too in this same document. You can check out Robert Elliott, I believe from the same state, attacking laws that's anti-Black education. So that's just to highlight, once in office, we see how Black folks are not just sitting there twiddling their thumbs. They're active in legislation meant to ameliorate people of the African race, as Richard Kane described on the floor of Congress. So, what up, Rob Bourne?
What up, man? Good stuff there, man. Good stuff there. The Negro Declaration of Independence.
Oh, you saw that? Yo, hold up. I'm gonna get it back up.
Yeah, I was looking at I had to back up, so I'm in the back of with your build. So I don't know what that last thing was, but I was catching up. So you know
I'm
how
gonna put
you
it
can
back up on the
rewind it.
screen.
No, I seen when you finished over that. So yeah, man, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, I ran across that. I was like, yo, I never seen any outside of the color conventions. I never seen anything that was a separate type of organization attacking a party as a collective. I've seen articles, newspaper articles about it, but nothing on this type of scale. And I thought it was important that they thought principle.
You was hoping I didn't bring that up too. You was like, damn, he
No,
finally
I was
found
hoping I
it.
didn't tell you about it because I saw your presentation on Clubhouse. I was like, yo, did he find it? Then I was like, okay, yo, he talking about, okay. When I saw you talking about, like, I ain't gonna say nothing until I go live with it.
Nah,
Yeah,
I
man, I'm
didn't
gonna
see
throw it up
that.
on the community page, man. Yeah,
I didn't see that one. I just saw the reasoning though from the people. They was just like, when I saw the black codes come in and they started taking their guns, I was like, wait a minute, what's this? So I had to back up and read like what was going on from state to state. And then you'll see the black people responding about, why are you taking our guns, bro? Like they was really going from house to house, like taking their
Yeah,
shit. So when you doing that, this clan is running around acting crazy. These people can't defend themselves. So then I'm like, okay, so who passed these laws? So then I was trying to figure out like who put them forward to take the laws from them. I was like, wow, this is crazy. He basically had black people as sitting ducks because they can't defend themselves.
yeah. My thing was like, what would they suppose? And then when they defended themselves, Rob Bourne, they attacked them for defending themselves.
Yeah, man.
They said they were violent and militant for wanting to defend their home, similar to what Robert F. Williams went through later on. But to me, that's crazy. And some of these folks are like the Hamburg massacre. Them folks were soldiers.
Yeah, the
They
Hamburg
running down on
massacre.
soldiers and
Yeah,
taking their guns from them.
they killed like 300 of them. You saw
Yeah.
that thing I posted? I cannot pronounce it. I posted like 2 days ago though. Opachia's Rebellion or something like that. I forget.
No, you
Yo,
put it
that
on
the
the community page.
Nah, I put it on my Facebook page. But yeah, man, that was kind of like crazy, bro. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, they're just running around killing black people. And you letting these people do this. So they're like, yeah, we don't want to be a part of your thing anymore. So I mean, it just seems like these people just been lying and using us from the jump, bro. I mean, I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah,
You said that you were for these things. Then I had to ask the question. So why did these white Republicans want to go against the Institute of Slavery? Why did they want to be anti-slavery? Well, what prompted them to do that? Was it the goodness of their heart, or was there something going on? What do you think?
I think it's a mix of everything. You had a very small few who thought it was immoral, and we understand that society demonized them. So we not, I don't would expect them to, every one of them to suffer that type of opprobrium for someone that's outside of their culture. So, and that's how it becomes saturated for a while. Like when the Republican Party became saturated with fighting for Negroes and white folks, they put the sword and shield down. They moved on to industrialization and making money. So, some, found it economically beneficial because we did have, buying movements back then where black folks and other white folks were buying products made by plantations. So economically, some of them decided to do something different. And I think a large portion of white folks just turn a blind eye and really were impartial to it. You know what I mean? Or making them, in my opinion, complicit to it.
Yeah, I call it 100% complicit because it's just weird, man. And it's just even just looking at the Civil War, looking at you know, looking at Sherman even saying that, like what he said, he like, oh yeah, this was only temporary. We never planned to give them this land. I'm like, that's crazy. So it's like you make this cause and you say that, yeah, we're gonna give you this 400 acres and we're gonna give you these things, blah blah blah. But in the meantime, you was really lying the whole time.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, it seems like a repetitive circle.
I mean, or
Or
they're not 100% 10 toes down. You dig what I'm saying? At the end of the day, bread talks, nationalism talks. That's what when I hear Delaney say black nationalism, that's what I think. Like white people see themselves as a nation within the nation in themselves. You know, black people should do the same, but again, the population isn't there. We can't on a national level, like European Americans can't affect federal politics. So in that, if we go more local politics, local municipal state governments, we won't be so reliant upon the overall party structure. You can get away with a third party system. And I think we talked about that on Clubhouse. You can get away with a third party system on the local side, on the
Mhm,
local state. We can do that there. But federally, I would just have to see it in action to be a believer.
mhm. Yeah, man, this is so the Negro said we don't want to be a part of your party no more. I just want to emphasize that because basically you basically made it free reign for these clans to come kill you, and you're not protecting the people. You went back on your word. So they after they do that, what is their stance then? Sinek? What do they do next politically to solve their issues politically?
Well, no, he mentioned in the letter that they will form locally and create a body. And this body, I think it kind of died out a couple years later, but the idea was still there because you kind of see it in the notes of the color conventions where they began to get more political. And then you get the here Manil Turner comes in and he's political. So it's sort of, you can see it grow around the 60s and the 70s and manifest in the 1870s and 80s when that new breed of black politician or black leader comes in that's more politically militant. And that's when you got, he's in Congress in 71 talking about the outrages in the South. Well, 70 or 71, one of them years.
Damn. So military reconstruction, what's that, Sinek?
Military Reconstruction is 1867. That's when the South is broken into those districts. Presidential Reconstruction started, I call it, well, I don't call it, but the what's her name? Lorraine Fleet. She wrote the book A Day of Blood, describing the Wilmington riot, but that's what she coined it to be.
Okay.
But presidential reconstruction, she said, well, she illustrates started in 1865 with Lincoln, right? They start military reconstruction, but he gets killed, you know what I'm saying, the next month. Andrew Johnson comes in and he appoints provisional governors. Now, Johnson is trying to bring people in without sort of the amnesty, but Congress has to vote on it. So Congress is pretty much not voting to readmit any of the people that Johnson is trying to do. So the violence is continuing. Now, this is 1865, 1866. You get the Civil Rights Act, 1866, that was supposed to ameliorate some of this stuff. It establishes citizenship. It says what black people can do, but the violence is still there. You dig what I'm saying? So as we continue,
and then Johnson
he
reneged.
vetoes that bill, by the way. But
Yeah, he vetoes it, and then the same Confederates that you say that's enemies, you give them their pensions and their land and all that other stuff.
Amnesty passes. That's why Richard King was like, yo, we supposed to be cool here. We done passed amnesty bills. We supposed to be blazing a new path to a new America. But that really wasn't the case. Violence was destroying the South. So you needed not only did you need a 14th Amendment, you needed a 15th Amendment and the enforcement acts. So, I mean, that just, to me, it's not difficult to demonstrate the violence, the activity, and the consciousness of, this time period. Like, why would you need federal legislation to tell people not to go and murder people? It's not necessary. But again, like back to the military reconstruction, that's 67. That's when Congress takes over Reconstruction and breaks them down into now you got generals in charge of these areas. They're responsible for elections. They're responsible for managing contracts, managing land. They're running courts. Until those states create a constitution that accepts the national constitution and they ratify the 14th Amendment, as I try to explain to the Moors on Clubhouse. So,
and at the same time, is this the same period where they start killing the black people for voting?
Oh yeah, they were already doing that. That's why you had the Enforcement Act 1870 and 1871. That's when they make it a federal law to go on the skies on public highways and to intimidate officials and voters.
I saw the joint they did with with this teacher of a freedmen's school, and they ran up in there on the teacher and beat his ass in the school, bro.
Yeah, they killed a young lady.
Yo, that shit is crazy. This dude went into a school, beat dude up in the school, and I'm just sitting here like, wow, man. No repercussions. I'm still looking. I'm looking for the you know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the black military troops or the independent troops who begin to fight them back. I'm looking for a nice story in there.
I mean, that that Gregory Mixon got some stuff in there, man.
Yeah, I want to see something where they, you know what I'm saying, back them down and line their ass up. I'm looking for that.
You got that Benjamin Corrs joint?
Nah.
Get the Negro in the Civil War.
Yeah, I ain't got that one. I want to see what happened. Yeah, in the Reconstruction area. That's what I'm looking at. Because I'm not liking that, man.
Liking what?
I'm not. I mean, I don't expect those people to be right or do things correct or by right people, but I'm just not liking. I don't like it. It's just like if that this has to. I think it has to be like in a time frame as far as okay, this is the Civil Rights Act. This is the Reconstruction. This is the freedom. And then you just start seeing all these chips fall into play. Plan or automatically forms directly after Emancipation Proclamation. Then all of these black codes and all these codes from state to state. Negroes can't have guns. Negro confiscation gun that. I'm like, wait a minute. What are y'all doing? I'm like, so, I just don't like it. I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking 2022 mind frame. If I was dumb, I wouldn't have gave my gun up. I'm not giving you my gun, bro. These people was running around here killing people. I want to protect my
Yeah,
family.
but
I
see,
am not
I
giving
don't
you
know
my
what
gun.
I would say to that because they not just showing the band of white folks ain't just showing up to your crib. The goddamn gone the National Guard, multiple state militias are showing up. You dig what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, I get it. I get it. But man, I just don't like it, bro. It gets me.
It's state
It makes me
sponsored
mad.
terrorism. It's state I mean, you can't explain it any other way but state sponsored terrorism. The government knew it was happening. Some were complicit that it was happening. And the way they substantiated was saying that that's just the way it is. These people are inferior. You know?
And then yesterday we got a young brother paid up there talking about how the Republican Party was good and all these other. I'm like, yo, bro, like, fam, like, what are you talking about? Do you under like? Do you under? No, they was good. They gave us the right to vote. Blah, blah, blah. Well, like, no. It's not that simple. And and it's crazy, man. And this is very important because I feel that it ties into today and today's time. And how did the Negro respond to this? What was their options? What was their choice? What did they decide to do? And I guess that goes into what you say, what we would say intelligent voting, but then it goes to that ultimate thing that we say of picking the lesser evil for what we agree as a collective what would be best for our people. So it's crazy that you got one group that was advocating for ending slavery. Then you have another group that just wants to put the power back, and then you describe these carpetbaggers, um, and then they become segregationists on the one part, but they say that they'll do some things for the people that they can obtain. Okay, this is happening. We're gonna help you do this. We're gonna help you do that. It's weird, man. I don't. Are you getting what I'm saying? Like,
I'm
does
getting
this
what you're
sound
saying.
weird to you?
It's hard to for me it's hard to put myself in their shoes because without the fear, it's difficult to sort of come to the same answer. Like I'm sure it's safe to say that they were still at war. Like I don't think it's these troops who are still under the same leadership. Their same captain from the Confederacy is now a colonel and a state representative. He's in charge of the state militia. I mean, what can you do when they running white folks out of town? So it is you can understand why there were multiple great migrations. You know, while the South was sort of depleted of black folks because it's difficult. And peace to everyone who stayed. It's just difficult to live in that type of. That's a war zone when we think about it in the real. And there's no one to come save you. After 1877, the government said, "Yo, I'm sorry, that's a Southern problem." So it's a lot of things that's really easy to demonstrate how the federal government sort of dropped the ball on it, and are themselves complicit, you know. Without, I mean, I can't say people are scary when you got multiple units running down on you with superior weapons. You can't buy weapons. They calling the people who make the weapons say they don't sell weapons to them. Like, what do you
Yeah,
got to do?
even that they started
Yeah, like what are you
taxing.
gonna do?
What did they do? They put a some kind of tax or something. So even in the states where they allowed them to get some, they put a tax that'll make it real difficult for them to get it. So
Unfleet
that
talks about it in that book, how she details the Wilmington coup, how the new Winchesters came out. You dig what I'm saying? And how they had blocked the local bureaucracy that manages gun sales, blocked the sale of these Remington rifles to the black community.
wait a minute. Wait a minute. Paid Willington. Yo, put the link in the chat.
Yeah,
He
it's been
come
in the
on.
chat. It's been in there. He's not gonna click it.
Yeah, put it in there again. Mr. Page, here is your chance for your glory of
Yeah,
shine.
you want your 15 minutes?
Here's your 15 minutes where you get to show your screen, because we had this conversation and this makes it interesting because now you see the title of the show is Negro Declaration of Independence from the Republican Party. I want to see how you dance around this one, buddy. Come on, hit the link, brother. Don't do that because you in the chat. You don't have a problem. You stayed on for hours on Clubhouse talking to the people and, you know, pushing the way you see things, which is fine. But I think it's time for you to come to the big leagues, brother. And please press that link. Press the link, the brother. Everybody in
I
the
mean, I don't
chat.
even know really what. Text is a lot. It may be more concise if you just come up here and say it, because I'm not really sure what you're even attempting to say in the chat.
Exactly. Just come and explain yourself. Press the link. Everybody in the chat. Tell Paige
And
Wellington.
unfortunately, these wasn't just people in DC. It was a body of people selected from different parts of the nation. So he may have missed that on page 4. But if you click the link,
No. We gonna refresh it for him. Yo, press the link.
Here, man.
Yo, Paige Wellington. Press the link. Everybody in the chat, tell Paige to press the link. Press the link. Everybody tell Paige hit the link, bro. But go ahead, man. You can finish with the. I ain't mean to interrupt. I was just like,
no, man. I just happened to look. His point. He ain't gonna come up here. I mean, I'm not. These folks ain't gonna come on. I don't know. No summer jam screen, man. Because his points. I mean, I'm trying to understand what he's saying in the chat. And yes, Henry Mendel Turner was a Republican. Cool.
Yeah, he think his understanding is that the Republican Party was the good for the black man.
Yeah.
And then
Henry
I'm like,
Turner supported policies, certain policy, education, pensions. You know, like, come on. We gotta be specific here. Or what they were supporting. He wasn't supporting violence in the South because he was in Congress in 70 and 71 talking about the outrages of the violence in the South. That's the whole reason he was there.
yo, I can't believe you are scared to press this link, bro. Why are you scared, bro?
Hey, man, it's each one teach one, man. It ain't each one beat one. So pause. You ain't gotta come on up here and build, man. We just want to talk.
Damn, bro.
It's all good. We ain't gonna hold them for one person. I appreciate the 31 that's here though. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell so you be notified when we go live. Check us out on Clubhouse, same name. Each one teach one. This is the third iteration of the Black History Month Challenge. I didn't get nobody to present this week, so I just figured I just did something, off the cuff. But next Friday, I will be going live next Friday. Next Friday, 9 p.m. If you want to participate, create a 1 or 2 slide presentation on Black history where you're from. I'll put the link in the chat, and you'll do the opposite of what Paid is doing. You'll hit the link. You'll come on here, and we'll share your screen, and we'll learn together. So that's the challenge.
Wow, bro. He got out of here, bro. He got out of there. But I don't know. So what is also interesting about this, when these political conversations are being had, especially I really want to get into the 1776 project and all of this, right? And when you hear these arguments, it starts on that side. Well, the Republican Party was the Negro Party. They were anti-slavery. They was for education. They helped ratify these amendments and boom, 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 boom. Right? And then the story kind of stops there. So if you look at directly what is happening, even directly after 1776, just keep going down. You 100 years removed from this. Everybody has these documents of Declaration of Independence and all these different things, liberty and all this other crap. All this stuff is out there. But we turn to the people who are the government. And what they're doing is disenfranchising black people. They're turning the other cheek so that the extremist white people can kill us. And they're doing all these things. And I'm like, bro, there's no way that you can't hide this. There's no trick of the hand. There's no Afrocentric lens. There's none of that. This is just the history. You have a history of blood on your hands. The Republican Party has black blood on their hands. The Democratic Party has black blood on their hands.
America.
And has all the blood on their hands. So those parties are an extension of the people who are the invaders. And their differences that they have, they tend to use us and have us in the middle. But I always want to put out that if the vote didn't mean anything, they would not have been killing black people for voting.
They wouldn't pass legislation to disenfranchise black people, more importantly. Like that's, when you create a grandfather clause that, explicitly benefits white people and doesn't black people because they couldn't vote before 1867. I'm like, what is that? That's blatant. That's clearly violates the 14th Amendment. And that's what my ancestors said. But the courts, see, in my opinion, certain aspects of the system work when the individuals administering it aren't compromised. Because this legislation that passed in the 1860s and 70s was repealed a decade later. 1883, Plessy versus Ferguson. They were changed up. And then later on in the 20th century, they're back on the books again. But that's just highlighting when individuals who are corrupted are in these judges, legislative, local municipal, when they're in these positions, they're able to sort of circumvent federal law and then scream states' rights. So when these things are, again, administered appropriately, you see where it benefits the Negro. But when there's no way to curtail the violence that they were experiencing. Like if those things happen in a different time, like now we had those type of pushes where we're getting amendments passed and enforcement acts passed. You don't expect, your local, state, National Guard to march on your house in 2022. Maybe, I don't know, but I just don't see it happening in this time. So I just think that movement just unfortunately happened during a time when the federal government didn't have the intestinal fortitude to protect black people. And that's evident by that history. Well, I don't know about the Copperhead Party vote. But y'all, so you can come on up now. You can do a show on the Copperhead Party. Oh, Rob Warren just fell off. Yeah, the filibuster has been there. It's been used by the Senate since its inception, which is not in the Constitution or it's not law. So I don't even know why it's necessary, but that's a different conversation. So I'm at 1 hour. Hey, I'm gonna get up out of here. I'm 3 minutes over my time. I appreciate again the 31 that's here. Like, share, and subscribe. Today we discussed the Negro Declaration of Independence, a collection of leaders met in Washington, D.C. in the centennial year of the signing of the Declaration of Independence that was supposed to highlight this liberty that was achieved by leaving the crown. But unfortunately for black people, was still being experienced by ways of racism, white supremacy, and terror. So this meeting was to, describe those things, and not only that, but to sort of chastise the Republican Party for failing to answer or to bring some of the promises that they promised to fruition by way of policies that have been beneficial to black people. So in this national political union, these assemblies of colored men denounced the Republican Party and instead recommended to their constituents to vote off principle and policy. And we see since the continuance of that struggle, that's how black people traditionally have voted, isn't based on policy. What can the candidate do for me and my people? So I appreciate you all for staying. I appreciate y'all for, hopefully you check them links out. Again, check us on our social media apparatuses, check out Clubhouse. It's a piece of the Clubhouse fam. And I'm gonna get up out there. I may come back on live. I know I say that all the time, but as time permits. But definitely we're gonna be on Clubhouse here in a second. So hey, Rob, I may jump on Clubhouse and start a room. So y'all be safe, wear your mask, wash your hands. And if you can, send me that on the back channel. I'm gonna take a look at that. All right, y'all. Peace.